Hello and welcome to Dave and Rhyme Review. Um, we are back talking about this week The Mask. But before we get into that, as usual, ask how's it going, Dave?
Good, yeah. I'm still on the Jim Carrey high from last week's Ace Ventura. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it's been I think it's probably a little while ago, but yeah, we sort of got very excited talking about Jim Carrey, so I think we were just like, oh, let's just talk about some more Jim Carrey that we like. Obviously that same time period, The Mask. I really like this film. It really makes me laugh. Um, I'm trying to think whether or not I like it more or less than Ace Ventura, um, or either one. I think it's funny in obviously a different way. Um, in some ways, I actually think there's some way like a funny, like the funny moments are even funnier for me. Um, there's so many to rattle off in this film, but yeah, like it's just another like if you like Jim Carrey, I mean, this is just you're getting an absolute tour de force of Jim Carrey in this film.
Mm. I don't really. I don't want to. I don't want to think about which one I like more because I just think they're just both. They're both epically funny, and this one has some really funny stuff. And I don't ever really recall talking to you about this, so it's going to be interesting. This one. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna.
weird,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because I don't think we've ever watched it together. I don't think. I know we've definitely watched Ace Ventura together, but I don't know if we've ever watched this together for whatever reason, which seems odd. Um,
Yeah.
but we both enjoy it seemingly. But yeah, like I think I remember seeing this in the cinema. I'm pretty sure I saw this in the cinema, and um, just so many bits. Just obviously the way it starts with Jim Carrey as like the loser guy, Stanley Ipkiss, and just he's just a massive loser, and it's just like it's quite fun. It's quite a fun start, and he has the worst luck in the world. He obviously just it's just terrible, and
Mm.
he plays that really well. Jim Carrey's really, really, I think, really believable as that sort of sad sack kind of guy. Um, and yeah, like it's just that really opening bit really sets the stage for the rest of it.
Yeah. So I really like the sort of theme in this, like the music and
Mm,
the opening. I think it's is it Edge City,
yeah,
and then you've kind of got the mask coming out of that block because there's some divers doing some sort of construction, and just the mystery of it is intrigues me. And when that mask is around, that's
yeah. You don't,
you
you,
don't yeah, when he looks inside it, it kind of flashes and it makes that that
yeah,
noise, and it's like it's kind of there's elements of horror, I would almost say,
a little
but
bit.
it's
If a little bit, yeah, definitely, because obviously it's really horrible. So obviously he tries to go to the club. He has a really bad. He gets splashed and his car's falling apart, and he tries to save. It looks like he's trying to save someone in the river, and he goes down in the river, and oh, it's just the mask amongst a bunch of weeds, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" And he takes it home. But yeah, when he first puts it on, and he sort of puts it near his face, and it sucks on his face. He's like, "Whoa, what was that?"
yeah,
And he
that is
puts it
haunting, isn't it?
and he puts it back on, and it grabs around his head, and he like you see him scratch along the mask, and you see all the scratch marks, and his face turns to the camera, and he's like, ah! He's like screaming because this thing is like taking over
Mm,
his mind, I guess,
mm.
and taking over his body, and you don't know, and he's obviously it starts spinning in the whole room, and then he becomes the mask, and is the mask? Does the mask? Because obviously they say in the thing that it's like from the god of mischief, and it just sort of enhances what's in you, right? Like it,
Yeah, something like that.
because it's him, but it's not him. It's like the
It's like
things he would
it's like a
want to do
it's
and
like
say
him exaggerated
to the
like times 100, isn't it?
and he's
It's
also obviously the mask is magical. He can do all these things, and it's crazy. But that first transformation is quite scary. Like I remember as a kid being like,
yeah.
"Whoa!" Seeing that face, like, "Whoa!" Like I
Well,
remember that.
once the lightning and the spinning tornado turns and it's just him standing there, then the comedy really starts, and it is it just does not let up, does it? It starts with him going down that hallway.
Is the hallway bit after the first transformation?
Yes, only because I only know that because I rewatched it today on
Oh,
YouTube.
okay.
But
Yeah, so
yeah,
that's really funny because he's obviously trying to go over it again. You get because obviously I think earlier in the film you see him watching cartoons, right? And he's like, like he's
that
watching like
dog, the dog with the hat with the wolf whistle.
he's watching like Looney Tunes or like those old Hanna-Barbera kind of
Yeah,
cartoon things. And obviously he's like, so then that side of him comes out in the mask, and he's sneaking down the hall, and then an alarm clock pops out of his pocket, and he hits it with the biggest hammer ever.
that laugh before he does it, and he knows he's going to hit it,
Yeah,
is so good.
yeah, it's
It's so
just.
comedic and
And the
stupid, but
mask itself, the actual green, his green mask thing
mm,
is one of the craziest. Like, because it still looks like Jim Carrey's face.
mm.
Like, it just looks like they painted Jim Carrey's face, and he can still emote and do all this stuff.
I think it looks amazing though.
Yeah, but that's the point. But that's kind of what I mean. It doesn't
Right.
look like it's some crap because you buy a mask, I buy a mask, I put it on. It's not doing, and you see some of the CGI or some of the special effects people do these days, and you're like, geez, that's terrible. Like they'd probably try and do that CGI now or something. Whereas this guy's face was just so malleable. It was just amazing the thing they put on his head. So whoever did that, it was incredible job they did on that mask. The first time we see him, he head straight to the Coco Bongo with that giant limo that goes past like 50 times.
Nah,
Is that the first
that's
time?
not. Nah, so the first time is he goes down the hallway. That the alarm clock goes off, and then his landlord is also wearing a green face mask, screams, and then shoots at him down the corridor, and he sort of bounces away, lands outside, and he's like, "Look, Ma, I'm roadkill." Ha ha.
Mm.
Then he walks down the street,
Is that the
and there's like,
Awuga bit as well?
yeah, the guy's
Yeah,
beeping at him. I think he wants to communicate.
yeah,
Ooga.
yeah.
And he got the guy comes up to him. He's like, "Hey, Mister, got the time?" As a matter of fact, I do, Sonny. It's just 2 minutes before I pull your pants over your head, and then they run off into the alley, and he
Is that
turns
so?
the
That's that bit. He's like, step right up, step right up. What do you watch,
yeah,
Sonny?
yeah,
And
yeah,
he gives him a balloon. Oh, sorry, it died of rabies. Or sorry, the dog had rabies. And he pulls
yeah.
out, he pulls a condom out of one pocket, doesn't he? Oh, sorry, wrong
Oh,
pocket. And he's like, and he's doing all the stuff, and he's like, and he pulls out a Tommy gun, doesn't he? And
yeah,
he's
that
just like,
bit's
duh,
amazing.
duh, and it turns into a Tommy. They're like, oh my god, and they run away. He's like, with these powers, I could be a superhero. Is that bit?
That's it. And
And
then
he's
he's
like,
like,
but first,
but first, and then he goes to the guys who have destroyed his car.
yeah. Oh, it's
So,
time for an oval. Yeah,
yeah, but going back to when you were saying about Stanley Ipkiss,
yeah,
I just hated how he was treated, and you're supposed to
yeah,
just like trying to get to the club. Oh, no one crosses the road, they
yeah,
throw him out. The guys at the garage just taking him for a ride. His boss,
yeah, yeah. Just
you're
everyone
gonna be,
out.
you're late again. All of that stuff. I can't stand that bullying.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the point, isn't it? 'Cause he gets to sort of stand up to all of those people.
Yeah, so that's the fun of it later on when he comes into those guys and you see those guys in the morning. Those massive exhaust pipes are like halfway in. Guys are absolutely
Yeah,
destroyed by the Mars. Again, his powers are essentially unlimited.
yeah.
Like right, because he can walk. He's walking
Well,
reality. He gets shot later on. He literally became a puddle on the floor. Like, look, Ma, roadkill. Like he's
yeah. I
just.
don't think you could kill him, could you?
No, it'd be impossible. And I guess you're not really supposed to think about it that deeply. It's just this guy is a living cartoon now,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
essentially.
Um,
Um,
can we, bring up the hot blonde in the red dress?
oh jeez.
Now,
I remember as a child that changing me.
I, I, I just thought perfection
Yeah.
in a movie. I mean, nowadays, no, Cameron Diaz is not nowhere near like what she was in this film, but here she was just for me peak.
Just ridiculous. Just insane. Just absolutely ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Um,
like yeah, you couldn't. I don't think you could have found a better looking person
yeah.
than this at this time. Like it's basically it would basically be impossible.
And you know, even like when she walks into the bank and like the camera
Yeah,
zooms, the guy's looking, and it's like I can't remember what they do. Do they zoom into their face or zoom away, or they do
zoom
something, don't
into him,
they? But
isn't it? Like
yes,
yeah,
you know, and obviously she's working for the bad guy,
yeah, yeah.
Dorian, is it?
Dorian, yeah, 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 yeah,
And so you get to see the bad side of you know, your villain of the
yeah.
story.
And then so then he obviously has this thing. He doesn't realize what he's like. Whoa, what a dream! This is weird. And he goes to the bank, doesn't he? Because he's a bit freaked out.
Oh, yeah.
And
So
he has
that might be the first night. That might be the first night. I think.
yeah,
I
because he
think
wakes up the
Dorian,
next day, doesn't he? And he's like,
because Dorian's guys are going to go do a bank robbery, and he
does he stop
goes
the
and
bank robbery that night?
well, he just beats them to it because he steals the money. I can't remember
No,
why he
no,
steals the money.
it's the second day.
Is it?
Yeah, so the first night he does all that stuff. Then um, he comes to that the second night. He puts the mask on again and comes to and it spins out of the thing. You know, spins
Right.
out, and they're like, "Whoa!" Because they're about to blow the doors off, and he runs. You know, he's got the 2 bags of money, like just loving it. And that's when he goes to Coco Bongo with the ridiculous stretch limo that goes about 100 feet or something. You know, whatever it is. And is that the one where you see him getting ready, where he's like he rubs Milo on his face? He's like
Oh yeah,
shaving
yeah.
with a razor, like like it's just it's so funny. And that's when he's like, somebody stop me, and you know all of those
Yeah.
catchphrases that we know and love. And he obviously robs a bank. He then gets a stretch limo, and then the ridiculous. And then he's like, I don't see you on the list. It's like, well, my friends, was it Benjamin and or who, like the
Yeah.
presidents, Andrew Jackson. He
Franklin.
flicks, yeah, he
Yeah.
flicks
And they just
all the money in the air, and everyone's like, oh my god, and he just walks in.
yeah.
And he's got this. He's like doing something with his hands as he's walking. It always stuck in my head. This little hand movement he's doing as he's walking in. It's so funny. And then we cut to the club, and what's her face? Cameron Diaz, but I can't remember her character's name. What's her character's name? I can't remember.
Oh, don't, why do you have to do that? Because now I'm gonna.
I can't remember her name. But
I don't know.
she's performing at the club, right? And then you see him like sit in, and he starts acting like the wolf we saw. So the gif, you know, where he turns into a wolf, and he's like his face is tongue rolls out on the table, and he's flicking his legs up in the air. And I use that gif a lot, the one with the wolf face or the tongue rolling out as well. I love that. Um, and that's when he starts performing with her, right? Doing the dance,
Yeah.
and he's dancing with her. And at times it does look like it's them dancing, as in Cameron Diaz and Jim Carrey for parts of that dance, which is pretty impressive. And obviously there are bits clearly not them, but there's definitely, you know, when she's flipped in the air about 1,000 billion times or whatever it
The,
is.
the bit, yeah. As I love the wolf whistle bit. I love like the heart beating out, and then yeah,
Mm,
he sort of magics the band to play his song.
yeah.
Um, the bit that just as always, I remember me and my sister used to crack up was when he's like, tell on him,
No, that's later on, isn't it? Oh no, that's later in this moment, isn't it?
that's in this
Yeah,
moment.
because they're
So
like, who stole the money? And they're like, it was that guy, isn't it? And then that's when
well, I think
Dorian
he gets
walks.
shot. He gets shot, and
Hit, ha,
yeah,
here,
you got me, partner.
and he starts coughing, and he
Yeah, the
coughs
coffin
away. He
bit
does like two
always.
coughs, and then he does his last cough, and it looks like he's about to tell away, and he coughs right in his face, like
Yeah,
it's awful cough. Like there must have been so much spit on that
tell
guy's face.
tell Tiny Tim I'm going to be coming in this Christmas. So good.
Tell her I do give a damn. Like,
Yeah,
and he,
go Squawk. And then at the end, it breaks the third wall, and it's like an Oscars being given out.
yeah,
And
yeah, the full
he
forward.
says, "Thank you," and it's like,
And
yeah,
the funniest bit of that is the guys in the background, like, oh crap, like there's people Like I have to like adjust my tie, and they because they can see. I assume they can see the crowd, and they're both standing there like adjusting themselves to make themselves look better for the cameras. Like it's really funny. You
Mm.
watch that bit. It's just that's the
Oh
funniest
yeah.
bit. They're just behind him like, oh, I'm a bit dishevelled. Hold on, and they're like, hang on a sec, like what? And then he puts the gun in his face. He's like, uh-oh, and then he bounces away, doesn't he? Like, hee, and I think he gets hit, and
He shoots the tie, and the tie
yes, the
like
tie
well,
turns into
the
Stanley
pajamas. The
into
pajamas, yeah.
pajamas, and yeah, that's amazing. That's so funny. Um, and then
And a little shout out to the dog that Milo
ah,
in this.
yeah, in the whole film, the dog is
Yeah,
amazing.
and obviously great, amazing at the end when he gets the mask put on his face as well.
Yeah, the dog is amazing. The dog is one of the best animal characters in a film.
One of yeah,
Must be like it literally like it kind of it's so weird. I don't know how they did it, but sometimes it feels like it's actually acting. Like
yeah.
the dog is. It's not like go to a spot and bark and look over here. Like there's bits where he looks a bit like oh, like he looks a bit sad or
Well, the bit where he's in prison and he's like, go get the keys, and he
yeah.
goes and he picks up the cheese
He's
and
like
like looks back,
like
and
cheese,
it's
like
like,
the cheese. It's like no
not the
key.
cheese.
It's got keys. Like it's really good. And the dog's just like, oh, okay, yeah. And I don't know how they did it. It's a very, very funny dog. It reminds me of the dog from Frasier,
Mm,
because that dog Eddie in that one was very, very funny as well. Again, it's like basically another character. Very,
yeah,
very, very funny. But yeah, the dog's excellent. Um, one of my favorite moments is in the park, which is after this bit where he meets
yeah.
the
We're
woman
not we're
again.
not going to be able to do the whole film. That's
No,
it,
no,
yeah,
no.
but
But no, just the. There's probably only a couple more bits I want to talk about. It's definitely the park and the bit after the park. So he goes to the park to meet the girl, and I think he says he's going to go as Stanley, isn't he? And then he
yeah,
runs off and puts the mask on and comes back as the mask, and then he's very perverted. Um, it's the moon,
yeah.
it's the stars. Who don't know? Like was it?
I'm a little thorny.
Will you? And he starts talking in like in a French accent. It's very funny. And then the police are there, right?
So yeah, they're like freeze, and he turns into a block of
And
ice.
they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You said freeze."
Yeah,
And they're like,
and then my sort of bit that I was saying to
"Yeah,
you
go on,
that
go on."
which I actually played about half an hour ago to my mum. Um, they're searching him,
Like
and
rubber chicken. It's like rubber chicken.
he's
Like
got a fish.
yeah, fish.
He's got a bazooka, and he's like, I've got a permit for that. And then there's like a mouse trap that
Yeah.
bites
Ow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, picture of Calloway's wife. He's like, what? And then the picture is it's a framed photo of the chief's like wife, and he's like in her underwear. He's like, thanks, lover. And he's like, Margaret.
That's so out of order.
It's just
And what does
brilliant.
he say? He says something to them, and doesn't he honk them on the nose and pull over their
He's like, I thought you had a sense of humor. You married her, and then he's like,
and then does he
just
pull, and then
shoots.
he's handcuffed them together,
Yeah,
doesn't he?
it's
And
the
then
comedic timing is so good.
he hammers a door, and you're like, oh, he got away. He turns around, and all the police there, and then the skull comes out of his head because he's like, ah. And then obviously we get Cuban Pete. The
Yeah.
dance number where he starts dancing with all the people. It's so funny. Now I get obviously, like we said, we can't talk about the whole film, but the only real the bits that obviously, and you're not supposed to like it, but I hate when Dorian gets the mask. I hate that. I hate when his
Yeah.
friend dobs him in.
The woman, yeah.
Yeah, it's outrageous, but
Can we
betrayal.
just the bit that always cracks me up is when that conga bit or whatever, the
Oh, and
police
mate,
officer
he starts running off like,
he starts dancing,
and he's like,
and
"Stop
he's like,
it!"
if you start dancing, I'm going to blow your brains out.
Yeah, that's good. He's really good. The partner guy, and he starts
Yeah.
like, doesn't he start like
He
running
just
away?
gets straight.
He gets into it, doesn't he? He really gets into it.
He doesn't. He doesn't try and fight it. He's just like, oh, this is good.
He's like first, he's just going straight into it, and Callaway,
Yeah, Callaway.
he's just like, yeah, he's so angry. He does angry really well. That guy.
You need a guy. You need a character like that.
Yeah, he does. He does angry really good in this film. But yeah, I really don't like. You're not supposed to like it, but when Dorian gets it, he turns into. He seems to have more control than
Yeah,
Stanley Ipkiss does, and I don't know whether that's supposed to be like, well, this guy's a lot more calculating, a lot more like focused on what he wants, whereas obviously Stanley Ipkiss is like this repressed guy.
hopeless romantic or
Yeah,
something, isn't
like
it? Like,
he's like Pepe Le Pew. He's he loves his cartoons. It's all this stuff.
yeah,
Whereas this other guy is a bit more because when he talks to the girl, he's like, I just want one more kiss for the real, and he's like, okay, and he remembers everything. Whereas Stanley was like, whoa, what just happened? Like I was on like
yeah. I know what
I
you
have
mean.
no
Yeah,
idea what the hell's going on. So yeah, it's really good. And then obviously the like you said, the dog becoming the mask is excellent at the
yeah.
end, and it works because again the dog is kind of like a mini Jim Carrey, kind of.
The bit. So I'm going to do another shout out for my sister again, but the bit where he puts that bomb in his mouth
Yeah,
and it explodes,
that's just
and
smash me the ball.
yeah, that bit always used to have us cracking up as well.
Yeah.
That I had to do that one.
Um, and then obviously it ends with him throwing away the mask, and then his mate like, I'm having this, I'm getting this mask, and then the dog gets the mask, and then so we assume that
Like peas on him, didn't it? Or
just get like, hey, come back here, and the dog's just swimming off with the mask,
oh
and
yeah,
so we
oh
assume
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stanley keeps the mask, but we never get to see what happens after that, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah.
I'm
There's a
maybe
son of the
maybe
mask.
no, there isn't. There isn't.
There's a
Um,
picture I saw today of it. So
um, the problem, there's been I watched a video and they said that there was potentially going to be a reboot of The Mask, but it actually be more aligned with the comics. So in the comics, he's literally a mass murderer going around like just blowing like like it's kind of really dark and potentially that would be what the film would be because I think the reasoning was because they couldn't possibly find anyone to do what Jim Carrey did. So it's like let's just do it completely different. I'm not sure I would be up for that, to be honest.
that that doesn't work for me. And just leave it. It's leave it. It doesn't have to.
I think it's because there hasn't been an actual because even a faithful adaptation, because the Jim Carrey film is very different to the comics that is based on.
The only thing I would say, if you're going to bring the mask back, have that same mask, have it be lost since '95 or whenever '94, but it's the same universe, and someone else puts it on.
Well, that's
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. So again in this video I was watching, they said that in the books it's been passed on many times. It's had women have had the mask, um, other men and like loads of people have had the mask over time. So it's not just Stanley Ipkiss is the mask. It's been multiple people who have been the mask. Um,
Yeah,
but again, I don't know how. I think when you think of the mask, you think of Jim Carrey. You don't think of a weird comic that's just him
yeah.
murdering hundreds of people.
Nah.
So, yeah, that would be strange. But yeah, I mean, Jim Carrey again, absolute. I think he's just brilliant in this. He's so funny, so many funny moments in this film.
Yeah.
And also things now you watch it now as a kid you might not have picked up on, and then like now it's funny. It's funnier now as an adult. But
I was I was thought a funny moment was when he tries to prove that the mask works to that doctor in the
oh
daytime,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's putting it on. He's making all the noises, and he's like, well, clearly it just works at night. But that scene is just so funny.
The guy's so
We all,
deadpan.
we all wear masks, Wendy. Metaphorically speaking.
It's so good.
Is there any other bits that come to mind,
Not
or?
really. It's quite a short film, I think. I don't think
Mm,
doesn't hang. It doesn't hang around. Let me see.
mm,
It is, yeah, an hour and 40 minutes. So
that's fairly short, isn't it? Really.
especially, I mean, blimey, especially compared to these days, most films want to go over 2 hours. But yeah, it doesn't hang around, and it just sort of gets in, gets out, tells the jokes, and off we go. So it would have been it would have been good to get
Mm.
a second one with Jim Carrey, but
Is it me, or do you feel like it was a very much filmed in a small space kind of film?
probably, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that, like it's kind of in like LA, those kind of fake studio. It didn't feel like any real
No,
locations were in this film.
maybe the bridge.
Even that,
No, the bridge at the end where they throw it into the river. I feel like that is a real place, and
maybe.
a couple of the streets. But otherwise,
Mm,
yeah, it's probably a set. Like they're all sets.
yeah, doesn't make it bad, but
They're
yeah,
just interesting. Yeah, yeah. All right. So I would definitely say watch it. Now talking about it, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll show Robin the film because I'm trying to think. It's scary, I guess, a little bit with old the thing, but other than that, no.
but let's say as soon as he does his twirl and he's there standing there, it doesn't get scary. Dorian, I suppose, is a bit scary
Yeah, a little bit, but not too scary.
because he has when he puts the mask on, he's got like that thundercloud behind him, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. But
I
yeah.
took that, as much as I didn't like Dorian, the bit where they all shoot at Dorian and he's just soaking it up, and
Oh,
then
and
he's
he just
just like,
shoots out of his mouth.
"Pow, pow, pow, pow," like that bit is awesome. And he's just laughing with that demonic laugh.
Yeah, it's a really scary mask. It's not. It's horrible.
Oh yeah,
It's like awful
there's
ridges
no
and
way,
yeah.
there's no way that's the same guy, is it?
No, no, no.
There's no way that guy's so much bigger than Dorian.
Yeah, he's huge. Whoever the guy is massive, isn't it?
It's
Like
like the Hulk.
it kind of does do a Hulk kind of transformation. This guy's like double the size of that guy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I was like, that's not Dorian, surely.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Well, that's all I've got to say on it. Anything else, Dave?
Party. I always used to say that wrong just to wind Jack up. Party. Why? Because I gotta.
It's so good. It's a great line. There's so many catchphrases from it. Um, all right. Well, I think that's it. I'm not sure what we got planned for next time, but we'll be back again with another review. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll surprise. We'll see. We'll see. We'll decide and we'll go from there.
See you later.
See you later. Night, everyone.